Better have your shit together, because this may be the end of what we see when it comes to Martell Holt if you do not beat these charges.
Martell Holt might have thought the internet would back him up, but he seriously miscalculated. When Tasha K shared that viral clip of Melody Cherie going live to talk about the harassment she's faced, it didn't just stir the pot, it set the entire kitchen on fire. This isn't some petty ex-drama that plays out like a soap opera for clicks and likes. This was a real account of threats, harassment, and legitimate safety concerns from a woman trying to rebuild her life while raising children and simultaneously running multiple businesses. Melody's life is demanding enough without having to navigate these external pressures, yet she found herself at the center of a public storm that escalated faster than anyone could have anticipated. Unlike typical online drama where heartbreak and petty arguments dominate, Melody's situation struck a chord because it involved personal safety, mental health, and the fear of ongoing harassment. This is a story about resilience, manipulation, and the stark double standards that exist in the social media world, where women are often blamed for simply standing up for themselves. What shocked people the most wasn't merely the fact that Melody went live, it was the torrent of reactions that followed. When Tasha K reposted Melody's emotional live video, the floodgates opened. Some viewers rallied behind her, passionately defending her rights and well-being, saying things like, "We hear you, sis, we got you." These supporters saw her as a woman trying to stand her ground against unfair and threatening behavior. But, as is often the case with situations involving women speaking up, there was another wave of reactions, filled with victim blaming and skepticism. Some people, including women, accused her of being bitter or opportunistic, saying she was only seeking to sell merchandise or gain attention. Imagine going live and describing real threats to your safety, only to have strangers insist you're faking your fear for personal gain. This kind of reaction, while unfortunately common online, highlights the societal tendency to gaslight women and dismiss their experiences, especially when they challenge powerful or disruptive individuals. Melody, however, was far from alone. Support came from her inner circle, including her makeup artist Jay Taylor, who spoke up to defend her against the backlash. His intervention was important because it underscores a truth many people overlook. Women often remain silent due to fear of judgment, scrutiny, and retaliation. In Melody's case, that fear was well-founded, as Martell Holt, her ex, was central to the harassment she described. This situation exposes the chilling reality of how society frequently turns against women who dare to speak up about abuse, threats, or manipulation, instead of holding the aggressors accountable. Martell's response to Melody's allegations was classic deflection and public mockery. Reports suggest he messaged Tasha K directly, laughing off the claims and framing Melody's live video as nothing more than a sales tactic to boost her profile or merchandise. He attempted to minimize the seriousness of the situation by pointing out that he only received a $300 fine and no jail time, implying that this somehow cleared him of wrongdoing. The problem with that argument is glaring. Financial fines often do not reflect the emotional or psychological harm caused by someone's actions, nor do they erase the validity of the victim's experiences. Adding to the audacity, Martell mocked Melody for dressing professionally in court, ridiculing her appearance while simultaneously presenting himself in a sharp suit, clearly aware of the optics. This level of hypocrisy did not go unnoticed by fans, who were quick to call out his behavior as manipulative and self-serving. Another figure in this saga, Ariane Curry, known online as Killis Law, also entered the spotlight for her court appearance. While Melody arrived composed, professional, and prepared, Ariane reportedly dressed as though she were heading to a nightclub, miniskirt, heels, and all. Yet, surprisingly, Ariane faced little to no criticism from the public, while Melody was scrutinized heavily for her professionalism. This stark double standard highlights the ways in which public perception is manipulated and selectively applied. It also emphasizes the emotional toll such judgment takes on women, who are often punished simply for doing the right thing or trying to assert their presence and dignity in a hostile environment. One of the most tense and widely discussed moments in this saga was the infamous elevator encounter. In that confined space, Martell, Melody, Aran, and even security ended up face to face, creating an atmosphere so charged it could almost be felt through screens. The tension was palpable, and in the middle of it all, Aran allegedly took jabs at Melody, questioning why she was still preoccupied by Martell. This was particularly galling, given that Martell himself repeatedly inserted himself into Melody's life, despite the fact that they had been divorced for years. Melody had moved on, focusing on her children, her businesses, and her mental health. Meanwhile, Martell continued to engage in behavior that fans described as intrusive, manipulative, and aggressive, showing up uninvited, mocking her publicly, and using social media as a weapon to provoke and destabilize her. And yet, in a classic twist of public narrative, many outsiders still attempted to frame Melody as the one obsessed or overly dramatic, despite clear evidence that the aggression originated with Martell.
As fans dug deeper into the situation, the conversation expanded beyond Martell to the producers and networks involved in Love and Marriage Huntsville. Carlos King, the show's producer, became a focal point as viewers began questioning the network's responsibility in Melody's safety. Reports suggest that Melody had reached out to production requesting that someone be sent to her home due to threats she had received, but her calls were allegedly ignored. This raises serious concerns about negligence, as the duty of care for reality TV participants goes beyond simply filming their lives for entertainment. Melody's situation illuminates a critical question. When production prioritizes ratings over the safety of its participants, what are the consequences for those being put in vulnerable positions? Fans were quick to point out that the responsibility does not solely lie with Martell. Production and network executives also bear accountability for failing to act on legitimate safety concerns. In reality, Melody was not crying wolf, she was dealing with actual threats, and the lack of intervention only exacerbated the emotional and psychological strain she experienced. Other cast members also played complicated roles in this narrative. Letitia Scott and Maro Scott were often seen acting neutral while making sly comments about Melody, seemingly downplaying Martell's behavior or joking about her struggles. While this might appear minor to outsiders, it chipped away at the support system Melody needed. Fans remember episodes where Melody attempted to explain her boundaries and discomfort, only to be brushed off or told to toughen up. Wanda, another figure in the show's social circle, added to the confusion and inconsistency by alternating between defending Melody and publicly criticizing her on social media. These contradictory behaviors further isolated Melody and highlighted how neutrality can become a form of silent complicity when safety is on the line. In many ways, Melody's experience serves as a case study of how women navigating public spaces, social media, and reality TV can be left unsupported despite reaching out for help. Meanwhile, Martell continued his pattern of reckless behavior, showing up uninvited, mocking Melody and attempting to manipulate public perception. When Melody clapped back or tried to set boundaries, the narrative often flipped, portraying her as the problem. This manipulation is a textbook example of how aggressors gaslight victims, creating confusion for observers and adding pressure on the targeted individual. Some people, however, still bought into the narrative, claiming Melody was bitter, seeking attention, or unable to move on. But the reality tells a very different story. Melody has successfully moved on from her past, running multiple businesses, raising her children, and maintaining her image and personal brand with dignity and resilience. In fact, her ability to navigate these challenges without succumbing to public or personal attacks is an example of remarkable strength. In many ways, Melody could serve as a teacher for others on how to emerge from toxic relationships, maintain self-respect, and focus on personal growth while managing external pressures. The energy Martell expended in following, mocking, and provoking Melody could have been redirected toward addressing his own issues and responsibilities. Instead, he weaponized footage, leaned into drama, and continued to escalate conflicts for public consumption. This pattern of behavior has been widely recognized by fans, who point out that Martell's actions are not simply reactive, but deliberate attempts to control the narrative and destabilize Melody. His repeated attempts to discredit her, coupled with his manipulation of social media, highlight the ongoing psychological and emotional toll this saga has had on her. The broader implications of the situation extend beyond celebrity drama into real issues about societal attitudes toward women, victim blaming, and accountability. The public's reaction to Melody's transparency reflects a persistent problem. When women speak out, they often become targets not just for the aggressor, but for peers, strangers, and even institutional systems that should protect them. Melody's decision to speak her truth despite these pressures makes her a symbol of courage and a reminder that calling out harassment is not only valid but necessary. Even in the midst of all this chaos, Melody has remained grounded. She could have lashed out at critics, gone on a social media tirade, or engaged in retaliation, but she chose restraint. She focused on her own well-being, her children, and her businesses, demonstrating a level of emotional intelligence and self-control that contrasts sharply with the drama orchestrated around her. This measured response is not just a reflection of personal strength, it is a lesson in how to navigate public scrutiny, harassment, and manipulation while maintaining one's dignity. In the end, this story is not merely about a feud or reality TV spectacle. It's a cautionary trail of toxic behavior, manipulation, and the systems that sometimes fail to protect those in vulnerable positions. Martell may continue to try to shift the narrative, but the truth is undeniable. Melody was never the problem. She was attempting to protect herself, maintain her boundaries, and ensure her safety and the well-being of her family. By speaking up, she exposed the lengths some individuals will go to silence women and manipulate public perception. Her experience underscores the importance of listening to those who report harassment, supporting them rather than blaming them, and holding all parties accountable, whether individuals, networks, or production teams.